All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So I have put the Poison Spectral Helix Trickster kind of on the back burner, not because I wasn't enjoying the build. I don't know. I couldn't really overcome the challenges that I was facing with the character. My damage was falling off. I was really not that tanky. I kept dying all the time. I wasn't getting any gear, getting any currency. I wasn't progressing anything. So I just decided to reroll. I just didn't want to give up on the league quite yet, and I didn't want to quite give up on the solo self-found thing. So I decided to reroll into a build made very popular by a certain content creator and very popular among the community. Not that big of a secret. It's Righteous Fire, and I'll explain why I went into it a little bit later in the video. So in this video, I'm going to kind of touch on my solo self-found experience after not playing it for like 6 years, some general thoughts I have about the game, about the leagues, things I do like, things I really don't like, kind of talk about the general state of Path of Exile, coming from someone who's been playing since closed beta and kept up on the game so far, and just kind of give you guys an idea of kind of my take on the game. If you guys like this video and things like it, remember to subscribe below, hit the bell button thing to get notifications. I do go live every day, twitch.tv/_TV. 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is when I start, so go ahead and like and subscribe over there if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's dive into this video. All right, before going any further in the video, I do understand that right now the game is kind of in a tumultuous place. A lot of people are not happy with the direction of the game, and I understand why. I'm going to go over a little bit later in the video kind of what my take on the whole debacle is. But essentially what I've been doing is I'm playing Righteous Fire. So I have really enjoyed the gearing process of Righteous Fire, surprisingly. I have been doing exactly what Chris Wilson wanted us to do, picking up rares off the ground, identifying them, and then using them for gear. Now, the gear that I have is not like endgame gear yet. It's still just leveling gear, but I can genuinely tell you, like, I have been unbelievably happy about the gear progression that I've been able to make so far in the character's lifetime. And I only did about maybe 14 hours of gameplay on this character, 7 or 8 of which was in Endless Heist level 67 zones. And it is shocking how good the gear is, specifically for Righteous Fire, that I've been able to obtain basically in no time at all, with almost little to no effort. Not to say like the gear that I have is like going to push me into red tier maps, but I am comfortable enough right now that I feel like I could push into yellow tier maps and then get up to red tier, where I'm just gonna farm gear and then, you know, possibly progress. So the one thing I want to touch on, okay, and this might sound weird from a lot of people, I hate the Atlas and map progression entirely in PoE right now. I think it's really silly. I find it really dumb that Grinding Gear Games has predicated their entire game progression on put a map in and then pull the lever and do this circus mini game type thing where you get a league mechanic to randomly spawn in your map at 8%. And the fact that they've like propped their game up on that mechanic for like the last 5 years, I find very silly. And with the extreme nerf to loot from maps, I'm kind of sadistically happy that they've killed mapping, because I was so sick of mapping. So how I have collected the majority of my gear is doing heisting. And I will tell you now, if you've never done heisting, and if you're like fairly like not that good at the game like I am, honestly speaking, heist is annoyingly good for getting gear, especially in the early parts of the game. It allows you to collect so many bases, early 5 links, crafting materials, essences, literally everything you need that you're not getting in maps, you get in heist. So it's made abundantly clear to me why so much of the player base does the chaos recipe early in the league, in trade league, to get as much currency, because it just rains down gear on you. It's absurd. It's not the best gear, but it feels so impactful, especially in the current state of the game. Now, just like for reference, I'm level 72 and I'm still in Act 9. I haven't even killed Act 10 Kitava. That's how long I've been spending in Heist, but it's pretty crazy. Like, I've been able to cap my resistances, I've been able to cap my chaos res on a solo self-found character, which I never thought I'd be able to do. I've got like 4,200 life heading into Act 9. I've got like almost 20k armor. The character's just a fucking beast, man. It's been so fun. No surprise Pox plays this every single league because it is incredibly fun. So what I want to do is kind of move on to the next topic. So what I want to talk about is the barrier of entry into the game. Now, my original idea, obviously, for Solo Self-Found this league was the Spectral Helix Trickster. Now, two things. One, I've been playing poison builds forever. I love damage over time builds, especially poison. I will tell you now, as a devout melee player, I love melee, Spectral Helix is too strong. It like trivializes using any other melee skill. And the reason being is it solves two problems. One, it attacks really fast. It has 110 base attack speed multiplier. Very good. It does an absurd amount of damage. I think it caps out at 250% base damage and 250% added effectiveness of damage. And three, bonus, it spins around you like hammers, so you cast one and move. And in the state of the game, standing still means you die, and especially his melee. Not very fun. I mean, I just saw Karn's video about him fighting, you know, that arch nemesis mod. He just got completely destroyed. So it's been crazy. The only problem is because I'm not the best of the game and I'm super new to Solo Self-Found again, my knowledge gap is very high compared to the people who've been doing it for a long period of time. Now I want to touch on that as well. So the knowledge gap and that barrier of entry of minimum viability, even in the earliest stages of the end game, is such a vast difference depending on what class you pick and what skill you pick. I felt like I was going to be able to do it with my 10 years of game knowledge. I just don't understand PoE enough to do Solo Self-Found in that variety on that character and feel viable. And I feel that Grinding Gear Games keeps holding on to this average game like PoE player who doesn't get past Act 1, okay? That might be the average video game player, but not the average PoE player. I am the average PoE player. I've been playing a long time. I don't claim to be very good. I barely kill uber bosses, but I can get to tier 13, tier 14, tier 15, and I may make 10 exalts in a trade league. Like that's the average player in my experience, right? And they're not really making the game accessible to that tier of player, and that's I would argue more of the majority than most people would think. So moving on from that, I want to talk about Arch Nemesis and Lake of Kalandra 319 kind of in general. So one, the league mechanic is silly. It's not fun. It's a worse Alva, but considering Alva just got nerfed, maybe it's just kind of in line with Alva, but the pillars were cool like the first time you saw it, and then the mystique of it wore off very quickly. Like it got old very fast. Two, I mean, it's not rewarding. Like if we're gonna put time into a game, we want rewards. We're animals at the end of the day. We're mammals. We want to hit the thing and get the thing, right? Like that's why we play the game. And right now maps just don't give you that. So it kind of sucks. And neither does the lake. I know Grimrose made a lot of videos on it, and some other people like I'm Exile have talked about the league mechanic is just completely unrewarding, and it really is a waste of time even after the substantial buff, right? And then two, I want to talk a little bit about Arch Nemesis and maybe the testing methodology of Grinding Gear that needs to kind of be addressed, okay? So first, let's talk about the testing methodology. The more that I've kind of watched the reveal trailers and looked at the marketing material, I really think they're doctoring their footage too much in the reveal. So what I mean by that is, one, we don't know what the character is that they're testing on and in what variety of test scenarios that they've given us. As far as video evidence. So I honestly believe it would help quell a lot of problems and maybe allow us as the players to decide what's viable, what's good, and what's going to work for the league, is release like a 2, 3, 4 hour unedited version of their testing methodologies on every character that we see in the release trailer, and then let us make the decision. The reason I say that is because I see these characters go into like situations that if anyone is like played Path of Exile in the last 2 years since Arch Nemesis comes out, you get shithoused by everything, and they barely take any damage. Like they're just like trouncing through the map, barely taking any damage. So I'm wondering if they have like a fully geared tier 16 character in like a white tier 1 map, right? I don't know. I think they're using some kind of dev kit. The footage does not line up with the reality of the game. So I really wish they'd give us the idea of their testing methodology so we can decide as well. 2, let's talk about Arch Nemesis, okay? It's crazy how bad Arch Nemesis is, and it's been kicked to death, but let's kick it a little bit more, okay? My 2 suggestions for fixing it. A, cap the amount of things you can get at 3. You know, Karn's famous video of him ripping at level 99 to like a 7 mod Arch Nemesis is just asinine. Like, that monster is stronger than anything the game can produce in like a constructed manner. Like, uber bosses even don't even compare to that, not even close. So cap that at 3. Okay, and then don't allow ghosts to maybe get in it, or maybe limit it to 1, because it's just like the exponential scaling just gets so absurd, and that really drives that minimum level of viability and accessibility of the game like in the dirt. And I couldn't even imagine a newer player getting into it and just getting shit canned by these Arch Nemesis mods over and over and over and over. And then yeah, this is fine. I want to keep playing, right? So maybe limit the power that way instead of tuning the knobs on the mods themselves. Limit the mods. 2, my biggest concern is the fact that it's called Arch Nemesis, but it's on everything, including blue monsters. You remember how we had Nemesis and Bloodlines as a mod? Why did they take Nemesis and then put it on blue monsters when we had Bloodlines? Like, give us Arch Bloodlines or something. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to line up thematically. But let's kind of go back to what like Invasion was. So many hardcore players, including the guy who made this build popular, Pox, loved Invasion because it was such like a nerve-wrackingly intense experience. Like, oh my god, is it going to be the Flicker Chaos Spider? Is it going to be, you know, Bonker Skeleton guy with a hammer that will one-shot anybody in the game? And it made a very intense but still manageable experience for hardcore players. And if they were to make Arch Nemesis, and if you think about the name Arch Nemesis, why is it everywhere? It is your arch nemesis. There's one of them, and it's very rare that you come across them. So my consideration on how to kind of like quell the intensity of Arch Nemesis, the over like bearing like oppression that puts on the game, is make it like 1 every 30, 40, even maybe 50 rares is Arch Nemesis. That way it feels special. Like, that's what they want. They want Arch Nemesis to feel special, but when everyone has it, it's not special anymore, and I don't understand their idea behind it, right? So that's kind of my idea for Arch Nemesis, to maybe like kind of quell some of the like over oppressive feeling that you get when you go into it, because every league gets devolved into how many rares is it going to spawn and how many can I handle before the league mechanic that I want to engage with becomes unmanageable, and that's dumb. The last thing, the loot. So I haven't gotten into maps, so I really can't attest on loot, but if you are like me and struggling for loot, and you're maybe in solo self-found for the first time, or you're just a relatively new player, even in trade league, ignore maps for maps, okay? Don't expect maps to give you loot, because it's just not going to happen right now, right? So what I would suggest doing is set your atlas up and to just basically get the stuff to get out of maps as quick as possible. So you want to be doing expedition, delve, I mean, Alva to a point, and then like heist, right? In my experience with doing heist for the little bit I have, it has made gearing actually fun. Even though I'm not getting super ultra high-end gear, it is disturbingly fun to not do maps anymore and get this level of gear, and for the amount of effort that you're getting. It makes PoE feel like it used to back in the day, and I think that's what people want more than anything, is kind of that nostalgia trip between like the, you know, the good part of PoE apparently during Ritual, that everyone, you know, keeps referencing back on Reddit. Anyway, guys, so overall, solo self-found, I know like the super high-end solo self-found players like Ben and I Am Exile and the guys who like really push high-end solo self-found. I understand your frustration. I really do. I am a ultra high-end raider on WoW on my private server. I know, private server, LOL, but I mean, we're cutting edge, and I understand the frustration when it comes to getting things taken away from you in a way that you've understood for so long, and then it just fundamentally ruins your experience with the game. I get it, but for me, as a new solo self-found player, playing the game like Chris intended, picking the rare loot up, identifying it, and making it work, has really reminded me of kind of like the core aspect of PoE, where like you get enough gear to kind of make it work, and then you just get on with the game. I understand the game has kind of outscaled that level of gear, and maybe ultimately that's the underlying problem with PoE, is the gear curve doesn't match the difficulty curve. But that's a subject for a different video. But I'm gonna end it there without rambling too much further, guys. If you like the video, remember to subscribe. I will be live over on Twitch TV/Drydeck_TV every day, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, rocking and rolling with the Righteous Fire, and I hope to see you along for the journey. You guys enjoy the rest of the night. I will see you in the next one. Peace.